Sorry,
To the audience, Jaylee, Katie, Charlotte.
Hey.
And the audience. Alright, so today I have prepared a PowerPoint presentation on why America is too dependent on non-renewable resources. There we go. Sorry. What did I do? Okay. So the U.S. has had consumption of non-renewable resources since the 19th century. Forests were the primary source up until the 19th century. That's what caused the deforestation in America and things like that. Currently, we thrive on petroleum, natural gas, and coal. The number one being petroleum usage, and then there will be a chart in a minute to kind of demonstrate how throughout 1776 to now there's been an increase in fossil fuels. By the year 2040, fossil fuels will cover more than 75% of the energy needed in the United States, and this is why there needs to be a change, because eventually we're going to run out. That worked. You can kind of see this chart, history of the United States energy. So from 1776 until around 1867, wood was the primary consumption, and then in 1867 until now, petroleum has highly increased. It goes petroleum, natural gas, coal, nuclear, other renewable sources, hydroelectric, and wood. So obviously we are not dependent enough on renewable resources. Currently, nuclear power is a resource that the governments are trying to push for and turn to. The problem with the power plants, for number one, is the cost. One power plant costs $14 billion to build. The United States has been avoiding taxes on the nuclear power plants because to make them more attractive and to make the American people like them more. So they're more cost efficient to Americans. Currently, the waste from nuclear fuel rods is the main problem because there's nowhere to put them safely. It takes about 10,000 years for nuclear power to be able to be human contact with it. So one of the ideas is to have a geological disposal site, and what would happen was they would create like a building in like a granite area or on a mountain, and then once it was full of waste, it would be completely sealed off from humankind for 10,000 years. The trick is to have the technology to be able to get rid of the nuclear waste, but currently we don't have any way to get rid of uranium. And the government currently spends $30 billion on waste disposal, and this is due to the cost of the fuel rods and other emissions and stuff like that. So the solution, one would be biofuels. Currently in the world there are two types, ethanol and biodiesel. And ethanol is really common because you see it in gas stations, E85. A lot of cars use this because it comes from glucose of plants. And it's cheaper than gas because the government subsidizes it currently. And the second would be biodiesel, which is produced from vegetable oil. Neither one of these can be a fully effective resource because we just don't have the land mass and or the resources. So it would help, but it would have to be a limited amount. And they are beneficial because they don't cause greenhouse gases. The main solution currently is solar power. Right now in many deserts, it's become more prominent. It's really a great source because of the wind and the sun. Within 6 hours, the desert receives more energy from the sun than mankind can use in a year. And that's pretty awesome. If solar panels were put on less than 0.5% of deserts, it would be enough power for the entire world. So if the entire world would be able to use solar power, then we could have solar power cars, solar power other stuff. Yeah. This would be enough energy for the entire world. Some facts and statistics about solar power. Where'd it go? Oh, no, it didn't send. Anyways, some facts and statistics about solar power are that by 2050, the two plants in North America and the Middle East will create 47,000 megawatts of energy. And this is enough to supply the entire country with power. The main way that they are able to do this is the storage tanks that are used because they hold large amounts of energy. And 90% of people currently live 3,000 kilometers away from solar power plants, so everyone could benefit. There are many different forms of energy that can be relied on today. Currently, there are solar power, wind power, biodiesels, and you see them everywhere. Like in Indiana, there's wind turbines, especially in Illinois. People are putting solar panels on the top of their houses. Biodiesel has been used in cars. Electric cars are becoming more prominent. And this is why more research needs to be invested and done for future generations, because if they have a reliable source, then we'll have something to sustain our Earth. If the amount of money was spent on what we spend on fossil fuels and nuclear energy into renewable resources, then we would be able to completely get off non-renewable resources and then have something dependent for renewable sources. Here's my reference page. I use different articles. I got some from Times Magazine and the New York Times and Time Magazine, and I got a couple different journal articles that had to do with nuclear energy, biofuels, and forest, and like how that's where I got the chart from with different forest fuels and stuff. So, yeah, that's it.